I am not saying that I enjoy having to break people down like this, but sometimes in order to get through, you have to break through some walls. How is it going, ladies and gentlemen? This is Sean Barnes. I want to welcome you back to the Way of the Wolf. On the show today, we're going to be talking about breaking someone's ego. Oh, I know as I said those words, you know exactly who I am talking about. You've got that one person on your team that maybe they are a high performer, but their head can't fit through the door because they think they are the best thing that has ever come down the pipe. I don't know if I said that right. Anyways, all right, so let's talk through this. Now, I do have to caveat this and say that if it is your boss or someone above you in the chain of command, it's going to be a little bit more tricky for you to be able to break that ego. Not impossible, but significantly more difficult. So the focus today is really going to be if you have someone on your team that is that high performer, but you're struggling because they have a massive ego and people don't want to work with them. What do you do? All right, I'm going to talk you through this. First and foremost, whenever you're coming down and figuring out how to break someone's ego, you have to show them that sometimes they're not right. Yeah, it happens. And it can happen quite a bit, actually. The important piece is that you know how to gather all of this feedback from not just what you have seen, but from what the people on your team and the people in the business have seen. You have to aggregate all of this information in a meaningful way and sit down and have a difficult conversation with John, Mr. Egomaniac over here, that does perform at a high level and say, hey, here's the situation. I know you get your projects across the finish line. I know you get them done on time, but there are times when accuracy isn't quite where it needs to be. And if you have built a team that has a reputation for delivering way up here, accuracy is paramount. So in this specific example, you can say, hey, we had all of this data that we had to pull together. And yeah, you got 85% of it right, but there's this other 15% that we can't ignore. We have to have accuracy all the way through because what inevitably ends up happening is that 15% rears its ugly head and somebody focuses on that thing. All the other work that we've done can almost be discredited, and we definitely don't want that. In that specific example, we're talking about the accuracy of information or data. But this could be something as simple as emails going out to the wrong person. You unintentionally copy the wrong person on the email. Again, it could be trivial, but not if it includes social security numbers. That's kind of a big deal. That's a really big deal. Okay. Now, these are extreme examples. The other side of this is when you start soliciting feedback from people on the team, people in the business, and they just straight up say, I don't like working with John. He's an egomaniac. He gets stuff done, but I just don't like working with him. Delivering that type of feedback, it's not as easy as delivering feedback on information not being accurate, because then we're talking about people's feelings. And then inevitably John is going to get defensive and think, oh, well, Sally, she's just a bee, right? I don't like working with her anyways. Okay. All right. Fair. Well, what about Jason? What about Joe? What about Amy? All of these people feel the same way. All of a sudden, John has to take a much harder look in the mirror and think, what do you mean? If it's one person, that could be dismissed. But if it's 10 people, that is a different story. I am not saying that I enjoy having to break people down like this, but sometimes in order to get through, you have to break through some walls. And at times that can be messy, that can be challenging, that can be hurtful, which is why it's crucial that you deliver this feedback with kindness and candor and lay out some sort of a plan going forward to help John work through these things. As these examples that I've cited a moment ago, you can look at the accuracy of information. Hey, John, you got to figure something out here on this. If you're accurate and everything's great 85% of the time, cool. Is there somebody else on the team that you can have lay eyes on this at some point before you pass it through? Almost like a quality check. Well, yeah, that's easy enough. Do you have a good relationship with Sally? Well, maybe. But if John goes to Sally and asks for feedback, Sally's actually going to think, oh, well, this is interesting. Mr. Egomaniac over here actually wants feedback. Okay, well, yeah, let me help you on this. So you start to build a stronger relationship with the people on the team. And then whenever it comes to people just not wanting to work with them, you as a leader have to figure out how to bring these people together. And the best way that I have found to do this is really getting them to connect outside of a working environment. Maybe go to lunch or breakfast or a team dinner or go axe throwing or something like some sort of team event outside of the office so that people can start to connect on a deeper level. When people can connect on that deeper level, you're able to start establishing more trust. When that trust exists, it makes it easier for more people to provide feedback to that employee. And if more people are comfortable providing feedback all to that employee that is the egomaniac, they will inevitably at some point turn the mirror and have to look at themselves. It's important that when that happens, that you are there to support them. You are there to guide them. You are there to help them. Now, another avenue that has occurred and can occur is they continue down this destructive path. And in spite of all the help, all the guidance that you have been trying to provide them, something blows up. Maybe they get demoted. Maybe they get terminated. These are all, we'll say, extreme examples and very unfortunate whenever that happens, but it does have a similar effect in forcing them to turn the mirror and think, maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was. And again, it's important that you as the leader or as someone's friend or peer or colleague, that you are there to support them, to coach them, to guide them, and to help them through this very challenging time. Because anytime we have to look in the mirror and think, this world that I have crafted just came crumbling down, that's a tough place to be. Pulling yourself out of the darkness is not an easy feat. If you can be that guiding light, if you can be that person to reach in and extend a hand and then pull them out, that is a very powerful place. It allows you to build a tremendous amount of trust and respect. And quite frankly, it is very fulfilling to be able to help people from that dark place. And that's what this should all be about. We should all be focused on how do we build others up? How do we lift everyone around us up? How do we help them to become the best versions of themselves? This process is not clean. It's messy, quite frankly. But when you are able to invest in lifting someone up and helping them pull through these dark times, that's what it's all about. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is a very complex and nuanced topic. So if any of you want to talk through this with me, maybe talk through some specific examples that you are struggling with, just reach out to me. Hit me up on Instagram, _Sean Barnes, or actually I'm spending a lot more time on LinkedIn these days. It just seems that the content that I put out is really more aligned with the content that is covered on that platform. So just Sean Barnes on LinkedIn. Follow me, send a connection request. Always happy to connect with other professionals that are trying to level up in life. All right, ladies and gentlemen, and that is all I have for the show today. Thank you so much, and y'all have a good one.